So recently I have been seeing a lot of movement in the used market for gaming PCs, and right now in this current climate, buying a used system may be your best bet to getting some decent hardware for an okay price. So in today's video, I'm just going to be going over some of the things that you should really keep in mind when it comes to buying a gaming PC on the used market. Now before we get into that, just a reminder that if you find this video helpful, to please leave a like on it. It really helps me out a ton, and if you're really feeling generous or if you want to see more content from me in the future, you can also hit that subscribe button down below. So when it comes to getting the best deal that you can on a PC, there are a lot of things that you need to keep in mind. For one, you are not the only person who is looking to buy a gaming PC in your price range. There are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of others looking to buy a PC similar to your price range. So that brings in the first lesson, which is filtering. So before you even go on the hunt for a PC, you need to filter the sites you are going to be using to find a PC. The two sites I pretty much never use, especially in this climate right now, are going to be Craigslist and eBay. The reason that I'm not a fan of Craigslist is mainly because of the way it works. There is no sort of reputation system, which is a feature that most other peer-to-peer selling sites have. Usually on these sites there is a way to rate a seller and a buyer, so other people can get an idea if these people are trustworthy or not. But Craigslist does not have any sort of system like that in place. Craigslist is also not a very popular site to go on. From my personal experience, Craigslist has nowhere near the number of listings as other sites. Also, Craigslist is not the most user-friendly because the main way people communicate on Craigslist is through texting or email, and most people would rather prefer a system with a baked-in messaging service rather than having to tell a complete stranger what their phone number is or just to have them in their email inbox. The other site I'm not a big fan of is eBay, but not for the reasons that you might think. Personally, I think eBay is probably one of the better sites to go and buy used hardware from, but just considering the climate right now, buying local is probably going to be your best bet, because when someone posts something on eBay, pretty much anybody in the world can see what that listing is. So you're going to have to compete with a bunch of more buyers around the globe rather than just having to compete with the people that are in your local area. Now for the sites that I do recommend. Facebook Marketplace is probably my favorite. Since Facebook is mainly a social media site, you can look at the people you are going to be buying from and selling to. This helps with the whole scamming thing because you can actually do your research about people before you even meet them at the swap. Also, Facebook Marketplace will usually be only local or semi-local listings just because that's how that algorithm works. For most areas, Facebook Marketplace ends up being the main place for people to sell their used items. Facebook is a very popular app by itself, so most people just end up posting their stuff on Marketplace because they don't want to deal with the hassle of downloading another app and resubmitting all of their own info. Facebook also uses Messenger to talk to people, which is great because you don't need to give out a phone number or an email address just to be able to sit down and talk with the people that you're going to be buying from and selling to. OfferUp is also one that I really like just because it has a similar reputation feature to Facebook, but all of the messaging happens within the actual OfferUp app, so instead of having to use something like Messenger or just email and stuff like that, it actually all happens within the OfferUp app. OfferUp also allows you to link a Facebook profile, which does add an extra layer of trust for a lot of people. So either OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace are going to be the go-to sites. If you are someone who lives in a remote area, then you might want to look at eBay, but just know that you're probably going to overpay a lot compared to other used systems. So after filters, you need to start thinking about price. First, you need to be able to determine the value of a PC when you see it. Just because it has a cool case and RGB fans does not mean it's a good gaming PC. Most of the time when it comes to a gaming PC, in the listing there should be a full spec list in the description. If you have no idea how much each part should be worth, then I would try and ask a trusted friend who knows a lot about computer hardware to give you some advice. But if you don't know anything about price, here are a couple of things you can do. If it is a pre-built PC, meaning that it was made from a manufacturer like Dell or iBuyPower or CyberPower, you can pretty much just go online and look at other listings to kind of see what price range it is selling for used. Another thing that you can do but can be very inaccurate at times is to get the MSRP pricing for each part. Then take off 30% of that price for every year that part has been out and then add it all together. So for example, an i9-9900K's MSRP is around $500. If we take 30% off for the 3 years it has been out, the part is going to be estimated to to around $170, which I think is fair considering that that is an older part and it has been used. I would also ask the person if they have cleaned the PC of its dust and reapplied thermal paste. If they say no to both of these, then I would ask them if they could do that for you, but if they can't, then I would use that at the negotiation table to try and lower the price. I'd also ask them if they live in a house where people smoke. If they say yes, then I would either steer clear of that PC or just make them clean it down really well, because a lot of that smoke does end up going into the PC, making it smell pretty bad and leaving an oil-like coating on a lot of the components. After you assess the part value and the condition of the PC, for the most part you should have a pretty decent idea of what the price range of the PC should be in. Sometimes sellers will overvalue their PCs, and if you see a PC that you think should be within your price range, don't hesitate to let them know. But be respectful when you message people. You shouldn't just say, hey, I think your PC is trash and isn't worth $1,200, I'll take it for $800. Rather, you should say something like, hello, I hope you're doing well. I saw a listing for your PC and I think it would be a great fit for me. I took a look at the specs and did some research to see what similar PCs are selling for, and they're going for around the $800 to $900 range. I would love to buy your PC for $800, but I know that's a lot lower than your listing price. Let me know if you're willing to go within that price range. Thanks. That is literally all you have to say, and most of the time, if you just show them proof that in fact most PCs like theirs are selling within that price range, they will probably go down to that price point. Now that brings up the next part, negotiation. For the most part, everyone will allow you to negotiate the price of their items that they put up for sale on these sites. They will usually mark up the PCs around $100 over what they are pretty much worth, and they will just look for the best offer that they can get for their item, even if it doesn't match the listing price. You should always negotiate for the price of the PC, but like before, you got to be polite about it. Do not lowball people if you know what the real value should be. People will take this as an insult if you lowball them too low on an item that is fairly priced. So if the fair price for an item is not close to your budget, then don't even bother. Negotiations are also a great technique to get some extras with the PC. If they are firm on a higher price than you think it is worth, then try to get them to throw in some extra storage, monitors, mice, headsets, whatever they have to sell and you may want with your PC. And again, most of the time people will throw in some items if you are willing to meet them at a certain price point. When you go to buy a PC, you also need to make sure that it is in working order. Some people will let you test the system to make sure that it works, which is great, but from my experience, most people don't feel comfortable enough allowing a stranger to go into their house to test a PC. Usually what I do is ask them to send a video of the PC being powered on and then show that it displays a video signal. I usually also ask them to show that the same video display cable is plugged into the PC and into the monitor, just so that I know that there aren't any shenanigans going on. Once I see the PC is on and everything, I will usually just ask them to show me the PC running some games and run some testing programs to make sure that everything is performing how it should. One big thing to look out for is something called artifacts. When video cards get older, sometimes they will start to produce visual artifacts that will look like a bunch of green dots or just discolored patterns on the screen. Often these artifacts are very small and will only consist of a few pixels on the monitor, so just make sure to look out for any sort of visual weirdness, and if you do see any evidence of artifacting, I would just steer clear of that system. Now, I know one big question I'm going to get from a bunch of people is if I should buy a system that was used for crypto mining, and most of the time my answer revolves around what kind of mining was done on it. If it was any sort of chia mining, I would probably say no, unless you're going to go and buy your own storage solution, because I have seen tons of reports of chia mining completely killing SSDs and hard drives. So in terms of longevity and the high risks of failure for those parts when used to mine chia, I would just say steer clear from those systems. And if someone just says that they mine Ethereum or some other processor intensive mining algorithm, I would usually just say that's okay as long as they kept the parts in good condition, meaning that they just cleaned the system regularly and repasted the parts fairly often. Now, this last part isn't going to help you get a better deal on your system, but it is a very important one for anyone who is watching this video. Staying safe should be your number one priority, so it is best practice to always bring a close friend or a family member with you when you are buying or selling any item on any of these sites. You should also go to a very public area. Going to something like a mall or a Walmart parking lot where there is a lot of people is one of the best ways to make sure that you are safe. Also, many police stations now have designated areas to do something like this, so that is also another great place to meet and do the swap. So that is about all I have for you in this video. If you want me to make a part 2 of this video to tell you how to sell your gaming PC, make sure to comment down below in the comment section. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the comment section as well. I can go more in depth if some of you guys don't understand certain parts of this video. I'll be more than happy to respond to those of you guys who have, any sort of big questions. And if you ended up enjoying the video, make sure to leave a like. And if you want to watch more content, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thanks a ton for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.